Welcome everyone to part 2 of my narrative recap on The Last Guest. Today we'll be recapping The Last Guest 2, The Prodigy. Just like the last part, if you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel. The growth from the last part has been insane, and I'd like to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of July. Your support helps me out a lot. Once again, thank you Matt, or Oblivious HD, for permission to use the last guest footage to support my narrative storytelling. Now, for part 2 of The Last Guest. 11 years ago, we are met with a boy named Jess and his mother. Jess just finished a Picasso-level drawing and showed it to his mom. Being the loving and supporting mother she is, she compliments his Jess for his mastery of artistry. His father's reaction to his drawing was indifferent. He slaps Jess to the ground like the caring and humble father he is, stating that drawing won't make him an elite soldier and forces him to head down to the gym instantly. Jess listens to his father's orders but can't muster the strength and courage to give it his all. As discouraged as he is, his mother reassures him that his father only wants what's best for him and encourages him not to give up and that she loves him very much. It's the next day. With newfound strength and motivation, he manages to give it his all at the gym. After a while, we are met with another character, Zara. The two head to the forest to relax, but they spot a dog whose leg is injured. But since Zara's dad is a doctor, they bring the dog to where he is. Jess attempts to tell his mother about his day, but when he heads to the kitchen, he finds her stabbed in the chest, deceased. We are then brought to the present timeline, where it was simply Jess sleeping and dreaming about the event. Zara, who tried waking him up, alerts him on the bacon teacher giving him the looks. Jess says he was simply dreaming about the day his mother was killed by the hands of a guest. Zara tries to confirm whether or not it was actually a guest, but Jess starts a mini crash-up where both his father and the colonel saw the guest flee the scene. The teacher then interrupts Jess. Even though he's the general's son, he's still required to pay attention in class as the teacher carries on. He talks about the cruelty and tyranny that the guesses have inflicted on the Bacon people. They were painted as thieves, murderers. Their people were arrested without reason, local workers refused to sell them food, and they were exiled and had to live in isolation. The Bacon general walks in, stating that with the effort of his leadership, the Bacon army had grown into a dangerous and massive empire, feared by all. And since the students have reached the required age, their training to become a Bacon soldier will thus begin right this instant. And when the right time hits, the Bacon army will march on to Roblox and retrieve what is rightfully theirs. At the training area, they'll have an all-out brawl with every single student, and the last one standing will have the honor of standing next to the Bacon General in the annual Guest Games. And we proceed to have a very close fight between Jess and the students. The general congratulates Jess on his success on winning the fight, and he earned the right to stand next to him in the guest games. The general asks Jess to inform the doctor to check out the injured boys and to go to the colonel's office for a debrief. The colonel and general continue their quest to eliminate all guesses on Roblox. There are only 2 families left. One of them is, of course, guest 1337. You know, the last guest. The other is a random family with their daughter, guest 555. The general chooses the latter due to their once failed attempt to capture the last guest at the orphanage. And Jess arrives in the office. The general introduces Jess to the colonel. The colonel's heard many great things about Jess and believes he will be a glorious leader of the empire one day. One afternoon, Jess overhears a conversation between Zara and her dad, talking about medical supplies and emergency provisions, and Zara was told to act with caution. Jess secretly follows Zara to where she is headed, and after a short walk, we see what true tyranny is. Turns out their guest is imprisoned and forced into slavery, working day and night with little to no food and rest. One by one, the guests start to fall unconscious or die due to lack of supplies and overwork. We cut to Zara, handing a fellow guest some food and emergency supplies. She apologizes for the cruelty her people has inflicted on the guests. The fellow guest thanks Zara for her kindness. Then, Jess shows up, deeming Zara a traitor for helping the very people that unalived his mother. Zara exclaims that Jess has been told lies his entire life. The Bacon people wanted him to believe guesses are evil. Jess ignores Zara's point and states that his father will hear about this betrayal, and just as Jess leaves, Zara exclaims, "Your mother wasn't killed by a guess." At the colonel's office, Jess was about to report to the general about Zara's betrayal, but then he sees something. A knife? It wasn't any regular knife. It was the very knife that took the life of his beloved mother. The general tells Jess to get to the point. He makes a bold-faced lie about his excitement for the guest games. The colonel supports his idea. The next day at school, Zara questions Jess on his decision to not rat her out to the general. Jess tells Zara she might be right on the identity of his mother's killer, suggesting it might be the colonel. The teacher then informs everyone on this year's guest games. We then cut to a huge arena with hundreds of Bacon soldiers seated, getting ready for the guest games to begin. The general introduces everyone to the annual guest games, where these games serve as a representation of strength and might of the glorious Bacon Empire, to let the whole world know that Bacon people are to be feared and respected. There's only one last guest remaining in Roblox, and they will stop at nothing to take him down. But for now, it's time to rid themselves of even more guests. We then get an explanation of the rules. 2 guesses will fight to the death. The survivor gets to live to see another day and sent back to prison, while the loser has to perish. If both parties refuse to fight, both will be eliminated. The first 2 guesses are hesitant to fight. The general screams at them to fight or die, but they've made their decision. Both drop their swords. They figure death would be an easier path to the hell they are expected to face tomorrow. And what awaits them is impending death. The general shoots both of them and orders the next pair of guesses to come out. The next pair charges towards each other in order to live to see another day. Jess, as helpless as he is forced to watch the very people who he once hated so much kill each other. We see the true element of what the guest games are to the Bacon people. Just a simple show for last individuals, without any regard for the guests' lives, who are also humans. They laughed, cheered, enlivened themselves at the sight of the games. The next day, Jess talks about how his entire life he bears hatred for the guesses for what they did to his mother, but due to recent events, he just couldn't accept the fact that his own people sees his guests' lives as nothing more of a source of entertainment and simply a ploy for their schemes, and that his mother's murderer wasn't the guest. He exclaims that his father is a monster, but so is he. Zara reassures Jess that he's nothing like his father and that he actually cares for people. Despite Jess's hesitance to accept her words and not knowing what's right or wrong, deep down, he does know what's right. He just needs to believe in himself. Jess emphasizes on how the colonel's death has the very same knife that took his mother's life. Zara shows sympathy for Jess, telling him before her mother died, she was told to never give up. The 2 arrive at the guest camp. We learn that it's Zara's father who prepares the food and medicine for the guests. They are always in critical condition and needs urgent help. We are then met with guest 555. The 2 Bacons introduce themselves. Jess asks if she has a real name, in which she replies she does, but within the guest prison, they're just called numbers. We learn that her name is Rose. They formally greet each other, and from then on, they were the best of friends. Within the next few months, all they did was hang out. Despite being separated by the prison fence, that didn't stop the 3 from making inseparable memories and performing various activities together. One day, they talked about their dream for a world where guests, Bacons, and Robloxians all live together in harmony. And Jess says,
And every Sunday we'd have a nice hot barbecue with all the sausages and burgers we could ever dream of.
Bro knows his priorities. From then on, while Jess was training, we can see that the Bacon elite guards are monitoring him closely. He doesn't seem to notice this. One day, we learn that Rose was chosen for the guest games. The worst outcome has come to fruition. The group tries to see if there are any possible ways for the guesses to escape, and Zara comes up with a plan and tells Jess to meet him at the hospital that night, whilst telling Rose to gather all the guesses together. The plan was simple. Zara would dress up as a nurse, distract the guards defending the gate. Jess sneaks up and gets to jump on them. And with that, they free the guesses. Easy, right? Zara comes up with an excuse to enter the guest prison. The guards don't buy her story and requests for the doctor immediately, but she says he's unavailable due to attending to a pregnant guest. Right as he pulls the comms out, Jess swiftly takes him out. The other guard notices his other guard missing and questions where he is, but from behind, Jess takes him down with light work. He then takes out the guard inside the fort and pushes the button to open the gate. But wait, where are the guesses? In a shocking turn of events, the colonel was right behind them. The plan was compromised. The colonel wonders what the general would think of this sudden betrayal and tries to make them go to his office. But shockingly, he changes his mind and shoots Zara right then and there, killing her. Jess was devastated. Jess was deemed a traitor and was sent to prison along with the guesses. Still saddened by his closest friend's death, Jess suddenly has a flashback. He consults with his mom and she tells him even though everything seems to be falling apart, he shouldn't give up so easily. The young Jess misses his mom a lot, and so does she. Zara also appears in the flashback, encouraging Jess not to give up and to keep going. Rose walks up to Jess and consults with him. Even though the colonel has killed both his mother and his best friend, he strengthens his resolve and swears to get all the guesses out of the prison. The next morning, the general asks for Jess's appearance. In his office, the general mocks and scolds his son for his betrayal, but Jess insists that it was the colonel who took his mother's life. The general puts off this topic and states the Roblox army is currently advancing towards their camp and he needs to be there to lead the army. They will talk later. At the battlefield, the colonel reports that the Roblox army is weak in numbers and is starting to retreat. The general orders the colonel to order some of their forces back and the rest can handle the situation. Right after that, the colonel hears a gun load. Jess was about to kill him to avenge his mother and Zara, but the colonel reveals the shocking truth.
I didn't kill your mother. It was your father.
As Jess realizes the shocking truth, he is knocked unconscious. On the other side, the general seizes the last guest approaching their base and orders the Bacon army not to shoot him, as he will be the one to take him down. As Jess hears this, he remembers the very words that his friend left him.
Never give up.
Jess gets up, starting to beat the Bacon soldiers up in the most dramatic fashion possible. No Bacon here has ever achieved this amount of aura, but in front of him was the sight of the last guest and his dad. Just as the grenade was about to explode, he rushes towards the two and pushes the last guest out of the way. Just in the nick of time, the explosion happened. After getting up and putting the last guest's unconscious body in the jeep, the near-death general pleads for his son to help him, but Jess, enraged as he finally realizes the truth behind the murder of his mom, the general states he did it to make Jess into a powerful Bacon leader, as his mother was too soft on him. Jess emphasizes on the amount of terrorism and murders that his father has committed and outright states he will never help him. And with that, the Bacon General takes his last breath and dies. After a short driving session, Jess arrives at the hospital where Zara's dad is currently working at. Asking for help and giving the last guest urgent treatment, the doctor agrees with no hesitation. After hours of suspenseful waiting, Jess asks if he's going to be okay. The doctor says,
He's alive.
and that is part 2 in me recapping The Last Guest. If you've made it this far, please subscribe and help me reach my goal of 1K subscribers. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all in part 3.